Hello, everyone. Pastor George here for our Tuesday Theolog. And today I thought that I'd have something timely because the Olympics have started, but not only because of that, but also because of our Christian education class that we're going through right now, which has to do with ethics. Because Pew released a survey recently that they did among American Christians that found, like, where do we sit when it comes to boycotting China over the current Olympics that are going on. So I'll say, as a moral quandary, this isn't a difficult one for me because I don't have cable and I really don't have much interest in the Winter Olympics. So boycotting the Winter Olympics is a very easy thing for me to do. Outside of hockey, I don't really care about any of the sports really. Some of them are fun to watch, but like definitely not something I need like a subscription or a cable package for to see. I don't feel like as I miss out on anything. And so this isn't a difficult one for me, but it is an interesting one, right? So has less to do with Christians individually, although it reflects that quite a bit. It has more about Christians calling the United States government to boycott the Olympics, and I don't think I'm like 99% sure. I don't think the United States has boycotted the Olympics since like the 80s or whatever, maybe the 70s. I can't remember, with the Soviet Union, when the Soviet Union held them, right? And then the Soviets boycotted, I think, Los Angeles or something when we had it here. And so I don't think the United States has boycotted Olympics since I have been alive. But it's an interesting quandary, right? And I think actually with China in particular, this is becoming a bigger and bigger issue as China gains prominence and the United States begins to feel threatened, but also, sees a geopolitical enemy and stuff like that. And as China gains prominence, it still has that totalitarian state thing going on, just like the Soviet Union, where they're treating people pretty poorly over there, right? So, open doors, which I've mentioned before, I mentioned a few weeks ago or whenever ago, when we talked about persecution around the world and where that was biggest. Open Doors has called the United States to boycott the Beijing, or not the, I don't think it's a Beijing. Is it in Beijing? I don't know. It doesn't matter. The Winter Olympics that are being held in China right now, because of their treatment of Uyghurs, but also Christians, right? Because the Chinese government tolerates a certain version of Christianity that is approving of their state, but all other things outside of that aren't allowed. Like, for instance, there's a group in China of Reformed Christians that actually went to a Korean island and stayed there, and now like Korea's going to kick them out, but they don't want to leave and go back to China. And it's kind of like they're comparing themselves to the Mayflower, funnily enough, kind of like that type of thing. So you have like real persecution of Christians in China going on as well. And so they released this, and as you can see, like, it's it's in levels of approval. All Christians in the United States of all these different groups are like, namely, like, for the boycott. In fact, most American adults are for the boycott. So it's kind of interesting that it seems that most people don't really care for this type of thing, but we're still going through with it. But I think it gives us an ethical quandary, right? And this is kind of has to do with the class that we're going through right now, right? Which is, how do Christians carry themselves in this situation, right? Do we support the boycott? Do we, those of us who love sports, do we watch the Olympics, or do we, show our disapproval for the bad things that China is doing by not watching? And I actually think that that's happening. These Olympics have a terrible rating compared to the last few or whatever. So I do think that that's somewhat what's happening. But it actually gives us a moral quandary, right? Do we engage with this stuff, or do we not engage with it? And I don't know. Again, for me, it seems like, for me, I could be proud saying that I'm boycotting the Olympics, but like, is it actually difficult for me to do that? No, right? So for some of us who actually are really invested in this, it might be more difficult. But I think that this is like very low on the ability to do something scale. Like, this is not that much of a commitment and things like that. But I still think really what I'm more interested in here is the moral or mental or ethical question that's been raised, is, do we do that? Is this an appropriate response. I think if we boycotted the Soviet Union, boycotting China is very appropriate because they're basically the same, except we're more tied to China economically, so it hurts us when we boycott them. Unlike the Soviet Union, where we weren't tied in, so it wasn't as much of a hurt for us. But maybe that's us paying the price for our own folly, and understanding that we kind of messed up. But yeah, so that's something to think about today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow for our Bible study, and have a wonderful day. Peace out.